I almost clicked my pump up music, so that would have been fun. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode, the Customer Success Show. We have with us today Chetna, Melanie, and then someone backstage who is my friend Amy, who's trying to get the technical difficulties. So hopefully Amy can get that worked out and she can come on stage and join us. So today we are talking about the CS strategy and go to market strategy, the CS and go to market strategy. And so let's do some quick intros. We will forego the Success Panda housekeeping because we're a little late to the show. So Chetna, if you want to go first, and then Mel, you want to go next.
Sure. Hi, I'm Chetna Tanwani. First and foremost, a big thank you to Brad to set up this wonderful forum where we get to meet and then learn from our brilliant CS thought leaders. For myself, my career started as an Oracle consultant around 16 years back, and my curiosity to ask why behind every requirement and then being able to connect the dots and then present as an end-to-end process, especially from customers' perspective, that kind of propelled my career into business analysis and operations management kind of roles. From there, I was pulled in VMware in 2018 as a business transformation architect when VMware was making a transition from their on-prem model to the SaaS to launching the SaaS cloud products with the subscription payments. And from there, I was fortunate to be picked as a global process architect who helped launch CS practice in VMware around 2019. My focus was to basically create the CS delivery processes and enablement material for the customer success managers, especially around the enterprise, multi-cloud, and go-to-market programs that involved the hyperscaler products. And second focus was to basically ensure that entire quote-to-cash transactional readiness for all the go-to-market offers where CS was going to deliver value was intact so that customer can smoothly onboard and activate the products and have a smooth customer experience. Now, from there, I moved to the strategy and operations architect role. That was my last role in VMware, where I led the program to ensure that CS had the seat at the table when we were launching the new offers and go to market programs so that we can ensure that the CS operational success criteria is considered well when the go to market programs are being launched upfront. And my last project was a data driven project where my role was to showcase how attaching CS increases the product adoption and stickiness to the Broadcom leadership. So that went well. However, as a part of the strategic acquisition process, when Broadcom acquired VMware, my team's role and my role was terminated around 20 like last year June this year June, uh, and from then onwards I'm actually looking for new roles and actively upskilling myself in the new world of AI and customer success. So that's that. And for the fun part, I love to cook scrumptious amounts of food for my family and friends. Like I'm a big quantity prep person, and I love to explore new destinations and new cuisines. My last trip was to Big Island, Hawaii, where I took my mother, my husband, and my 6 months old daughter, and we dipped in Pacific Ocean. So that was our introduction to water. So that was fun. That's
Nice.
all.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you.
You like to cook the food. I like to eat the food. We all have our place in life. So
Awesome.
awesome. Thanks,
I'll
Chetna.
invite you over someday, definitely.
Yeah, no, if I show up at your house, I'm cashing that check. All
Yes.
right, go ahead, Mel.
Well, I'm Melanie Labar. I have 20 years of experience in technology, and like at Chetna, I always ask a question of why, what problem are we trying to solve? I've led customer success teams, and within regards to strategy and go-to-market strategy, it's always trying to get that customer success team involved early on. It's usually when we make the best inroads of making the customer happy and bringing the voice of the customer to the product talks as well as working with sales. Currently, I'm working as the community director for Success Panda and helping Brad build this community, which I have been involved in for almost a year. And it's just been a great way of sharing thought leaders, customer success theory with everyone in the community. So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Thanks, Mel. So we have Amy with us, and let's see. Amy, can you hear us? On, let's try this. What about now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
There,
Awesome.
there we
Yay!
go. Yeah. So I had to bring on both of your streams here, but we can make this work.
Perfect. Perfect. Oh, I'm getting an echo. Hang on. Let me turn on. Okay,
Yeah,
can you still hear me?
Yep, no echo now. You're good.
Awesome. All right, so my name's Amy Weldon, and I'm the VP of Customer Success. Sorry, I'm getting a mess up back. I mute that.
I'll mute myself.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm the VP of Customer Success for Ryan. I can't even talk with Lexical. Hold on. All right. I'm the VP of Customer Success for Ronstadt Enterprise. I work for a coaching organization now, but previously I worked for in the L&D space. So I'm a huge fan of customer success enablement and of problem solving. Today I am streaming from my phone and listening and attending on my computer. So it's a little hacked together, but we're here and we're making it work.
Nice. Yes, we are making it work. Awesome. So let's jump right into the topic and the questions right now. And I think if you're not speaking, in order to help Amy, we'll probably just mute our mics. So Chetna, myself, and Mel, if Amy's speaking, we'll all just go and mute because I think that feedback's coming through. Alrighty, cool. So we got a list of prepared questions here. So first question is, how do you define go-to-market strategy at your company, and how do you and your team fit into the ecosystem? So Chetna, we'll let you go first, and then Amy, if you'd like to go second, then Mel can go last.
Cool. Sure. So, as we understand, go to market strategy is all about how an organization launches a new product or a service to the market to deliver customer value and achieve business growth. Now, at VMware, our strategy was involved around go to market strategy was mostly around working with the hyperscaler partners like AWS, Google, and Microsoft Azure to deliver the VMware cloud based solutions, especially to the enterprise customers. Now, we also sold our multi cloud products through the commit based contracts where the customers were billed for the product usage based on the consumption of their credits that they purchased through us. That was our broader go to market strategy for the cloud products. And coming to my team and my role, I was a part of the CS strategic operations team, and my charter was at two levels actually, strategic as well as tactical. From the strategy perspective, we made sure that CS had relevant offers so that the go to market teams can attach them as a part of the overall deal to basically serve and deliver customer value across the use cases that were being sold as a part of those go to market programs so that we have right product market fit. And the second thing was that we also made sure that whenever we have customer feedback on any of our service offers, we were quick to basically incorporate that feedback and update our service offerings. And in 3 years, actually, we made three different times we updated our services and changed the pricing model so that we definitely have the product market fit. Now, tactically, my team was basically engaged in creating the awareness and the enablement material for the CSMs so that when we sell CS, they are ready to basically go and deliver that to the customers, as well as all the quote to cash processes in the backend are set so that all our plumbing for the CSM teams in Gainsight and order management, everything is intact so that the CS leaders can be notified as soon as the deal is closed. They can assign the CSMs, and from there the work can go on. So that was my role, to identify the missing strategic and technical components and then fill those gaps, working with the cross-functional teams. And yeah,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thanks, Chetna. All right, we're going to help you out, Amy. We're going on mute.
Perfect. All right. Chetna, you talked on two things that I think are really, really vital: enablement and the voice of the customer. For me, go-to-market strategy is what we learned in kindergarten, the 5, W's: the who, what, when, where, why, and how do we maximize and gain market share, right? Like at its core components, that's kind of what I feel that it is. And so I know go-to-market strategy a lot of times is centered in organizations in the pre-sales process, marketing, top of the funnel. But for me, I see CS as like an integral part of that go-to-market strategy, because you're delivering on all of your promises from pre-sales, and you're gaining evangelists of your product, I think is what HubSpot calls them. You're gaining adoption and users, which then you can leverage for the voice of the customer. You can leverage it for testimonials. You can leverage it for case studies, which feed back into the top of the funnel. So for me, I see customer success as like this really key component of the go-to-market strategy, because you're the delivery portion. And that comes through or is empowered by customer success enablement, and then taking the voice of the customer and turning that around to product feedback or into enhancements and uplifts to make sure you have that right product market fit. For me, sales makes the first sale and customer success makes the second sale. We're in charge of driving that adoption and engagement and continuing to get people to leverage the product. It's like a never-ending sales cycle, because sometimes you lose your users and sometimes you gain users, and obviously you want to retain them. And also, I think there's a lot of important components of a go-to-market strategy that can be applied post-sales, right? Like your customer segments play a key component, both in the ICP and figuring out your product market fit, but then all the way through how do you segment your customers? Playbooks are a really key component of that go-to-market strategy. How are we duplicating what we're doing? How do we make sure that we are consistently delivering the same experience? And then last but not least, NPS plays a big part in that. So I see customer success as this really key component, kind of the hub of not just the go-to-market strategy, but all of the cross-functional things that a business does, because customers are at the core of what we do. Now, not all organizations see it that way. I know if you're a CS leader and you're fighting to try to get to have a voice at the table in that go-to-market strategy, or to connect with your marketing teams, or to take the voice of the customer and turn it around to product, I would say the thing that you can work on is your cross-functional collaboration, because for me, that's been the biggest driver of being in an organization that has close collaboration, that can be responsive, that can continue to refine their marketing message and their product market fit, because that's the only constant is change. Everything's always going to change. The pandemic showed us that you can completely flip things on their head, and we can quickly, as a society, respond. I mean, I think my kids are a little older. What I would have given for the pandemic to happen 20 years ago and be able to pull up to Kroger and have them load groceries in my car? That is a result of the pandemic. That's how quickly we changed. Now, I get all telehealth appointments. That was not a thing 5 years ago. It was not something that was widespread. So that's just kind of like how, as a society, we can pivot and continue to change. And the same is true of your product and your organization. You have to continuously hear what the market needs, refine it, and then deliver something that meets their needs.
There you go. Think you hit question number 1 and 2, which was, how can customer success best support the overall GTM strategy? So look at you going above and beyond, Amy. There you go. All right, go ahead, Mel.
Well, I echo what Chetna and Amy said. I think it's the voice of the customer and enablement of the customer success team that really helps the customer. And I think that's where, if you think of a RACI diagram of how customer success is involved in the go-to-market strategy, most people would put every customer success in the informed. And I think that customer success feels like that go-to-market strategy is thrust upon them, and they have to make it better for them and for their customer with what they have. And Amy kind of pointed this out a little bit, is like working cross-functionally. How can customer success be involved as early as possible in terms of like most customer success teams kind of learn the product of, the release of the product when the client does, and that's not helping the customer. You want to be able to understand it. So getting customer success involved as early as possible and being more of a contributor versus an informed participant. And that's really kind of what, customer success doesn't want to just be the participant. They want to be involved, and having that voice of the customer, the voice of customer success within that go-to-market strategy just makes it, stronger for the customer as well as the organization itself.
Agreed. I mean, I think to that, what I realized is that we generally do not give that importance for the new product introduction process within CS. And as you said, we learn about the product when we are actually with the client, like, hey, I purchased this as well. And you're like, okay, now do I need to help you with the success plan for that? And I don't know about the product. Sometimes that happens when there are multiple products in the big organizations. So that's what we were trying to nail at VMware, like by creating the new product introduction for CS and being a part of that approval program committee board whenever the new go-to-market programs are being launched or when the new product is being launched, rather, so that all the post-sales readiness attributes are also considered upfront, so that we can actually see a launch succeed. So yeah, totally agreed.
I love that. Empowering the teams with the information that business has before taking it to the market.
Yeah. So this is I think we covered a lot of ground right there. And the next question I wanted to ask is, how does the CS team get involved in the customer life cycle? And I think we've already spoken to a little bit about that, but I know in my experience, being in Series A companies, doing what I call full stack customer success work, where our demos, supposedly, rumor has it, were better than the sales team's demos. Can neither confirm nor deny that. But so being involved in pre-sales and then onboarding the people and implementing the technology. Oh, didn't you have implementation managers? No, it's a Series A company. You got to do it all. And then adoption, expansion, renewal, advocacy. So it's like when you're at a smaller company, right? Your go-to-market strategy is called, we need to win more market share and make more money. Like CS is involved in all the things. Like I think Amy and Mel, and actually all three of you talked about how like sales and CS work together, and it's just sales, they would be less effective. Not saying they couldn't be effective, but they're just less effective if CS isn't involved, right? Even if in, who are the ICPs, or who are the ideal customers that we're trying to target, or what accounts can we go in and drive expansion with. And so to me, in my experience, is just my anecdotal experience, right? Which is, the smaller the company, the more important of a seat the CS role has in the go-to-market strategy, because we're getting not only the customer feedback, we're getting product feedback, we're getting all the things, right? We're even finding out who wants to be an advocate, who renews, who upsells. So we're pretty close to the customer, and it turns out when you're a small company, that's important. So I don't know if let's tackle that question, or you can just respond to what I said. How does CS team get involved in customer lifecycle? And we'll start with Amy, and then we'll go Mel, then Chetna.
Perfect. Thanks for calling me first, because I have a lot of thoughts about this. I've worked for organizations. My last one, I grew with them from Series A to Series D. And now I work for an organization that has 40,000 employees worldwide. So we are massive. And I don't work the same way, but I still am involved from pre-sales all the way through. I just think there's an opportunity to be more streamlined in the larger organization.
Do you think that? No, I came off mute.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
No. I muted you, not me. All right.
I was just going to say, Amy, do you think that's a function of you being a VP more so than the size of the company?
I do. The very first thing I did when I joined Randstad was like meet and greet the sales team so that I could establish a strong relationship. I can't talk with this echo. I'm so sorry. Maybe if I mute it here, I just hear myself. Okay, let's try that again. I do think it's a product of being a VP, but even in the Series A company that I started with, I was really, really dedicated to making sure that there was a super strong relationship between sales and post-sales. I offered myself up for demos. I do always believe that CSMs do better demos than sales. I am a strong supporter of that because we're in the product day in and day out. We know what to avoid. We know where the pitfalls are. We know the use case that could really benefit because we have the experience of knowing what our other customers are doing and can frame that to this particular, whoever we're presenting to. This is what I think you're going to need. This is how you can use it. So I personally believe that CS should be involved as early as possible in the sales cycle, the solutioning, the building, the understanding if we can actually meet their needs. Now, in smaller organizations, there's a need to get that market share, right? It's like, what is our runway? How much cash do we have? We have to close more customers. So there's more of in my experience, sometimes you'll sell things that aren't a great market fit, or maybe you haven't fleshed out your market fit enough to know, is this a good or a not good customer, right? And so being involved in that stage helps you guide your sales team to, will this be a good fit customer or a bad fit customer? The same is true in a really large organization. You just have to be more strategic about it. Right, creating some guardrails. I'm closely enmeshed with our SET team, which is our sales enablement team, making sure that the trainings that we're rolling out and showcasing, we do a podcast that talks about new features and functionalities that goes out to our sales team. So there's lots of ways that you can create or build influence with the sales team without being on every single call.
I like that. A one-to-many approach. I like the internal podcast idea because there's so many times where if you ever worked at, well, it doesn't even matter what size company it is, but it's just you're on a call and you got everybody who's on that call and their brother, and it's like the only same three people, speak every single call, and you're like, what are we doing here? Sometimes I feel like there's about to be an Elon Musk meme where it's just like, beep, beep, and start dropping people from the call, I remember when I had to ask my boss, I'm like, is it cool if I don't go to this meeting anymore? Because I don't ever say anything. I don't have anything to input. And he's like, oh yeah, please do. Please don't go. Please use your time wisely. Which, like you said, Amy, one-to-many resources, even internally, especially when you have a big organization like that. It sure beats probably going to 10 calls, doesn't it? Yeah. Cool. All right. Who was next? Was that Mel?
Yeah.
All right.
I think Amy really kind of hit it on the head about working cross-functionally. I think that from a customer success standpoint, you have to define the customer journey. You have to know when you're introduced to the customer. I've been involved where you are doing pre-sales activities, including the demos, talking about what their customer journey looks like, explaining the customer journey, making sure the customer understands what starts, where it is, what does mid-journey look like, what does the end journey looks like. So defining and owning that customer journey from a customer success point, I think is critical to the go-to-market strategy. Understanding who the ideal customer profile is, the roles and responsibilities of customer success, and being able to talk to those things cross-functionally. Okay, sales, you have these things that you're doing. Customer success has these things that they're doing. And making sure that all of the organization knows, from sales, product, engineering, and where does customer success fit in that role. We've all said this before, but customer success is different at every single organization. And being able to define those, that RACI that I talked to you about before, about where does customer success belong, their roles and responsibilities, and making sure that they're aligned with everyone in the organization is just paramount to making a customer journey successful.
Totally agreed to the points both of you mentioned. And since I was at the large organization, there was always this clear RACI of what is pre-sales and post-sales look like, and at what point we actually have the transition, which is the order booking or the deal closure in the systems. Now, there was a time where we definitely included for the large enterprise deals notifications for the CS delivery leaders that this deal is getting closed, and then be ready to have your strategic CSMs, the capacity of them free, because this customer is in the pipeline and this is how we are tracking. So we kind of informed them at the negotiate phase in Salesforce. That's when the triggers went, so that they had some time to plan the assignment of the CSMs. And at the same time, another important metric that we were tracking was the time to first value, which we wanted from the go-to-market success criteria to be not more than 7 days of the deal closure. So if we have the delays in assigning people, like on the CS side, then it just kind of defeated that purpose, and GTM was not able to make that metric. And that's where again we saw importance of notifying the teams upfront so that they can plan. And then another important thing is like to clearly define those metrics and criteria, like what is the time to first value? Is it only onboarding on the product or activating it or being able to use it? So we had like different teams or different product BUs, and we had CS teams for a lot of them, and they defined that differently. Some products wanted activation to be the time to first value. Some wanted just redeeming the credit and being ready with the product as a time to first value. So that played a lot in where do we recognize revenue, right? Like in the stages. So it was also very important from CS perspective overall as a broader enterprise CSM to understand which product is being considered at what level from revenue team, so that every milestone is met. So like for example, if the customer is trying to activate a product one, we make sure that that happens within the 7 days, so we can say time to first value is achieved. But for other product, we are like, okay, you just purchase and keep it. Whenever you're ready, we will be coming and helping you with the onboarding and activation, and that was enough for that product line to be considered as revenue. So those distinctions also help clearly to understand how far a customer success managers has to kind of push the button at the initial onboarding call. How much do we nudge the customer to do in the initial onboarding call? So
I want to follow up with Chitna on that. I worked for an organization who had very long implementation times, like more than a year, very complex. And so the CSM was never introduced until they actually went live, which could be a year to a year and a half. And it goes past the renewal time. So that time to value that we were calculating was like a year and a half. And so one of the things that we tried to do is introduce the CSM way early on in the process like at signature, and start education. Like, this is where you are in the customer journey. This is what you will need for implementation. These are the milestones for implementation. So that time to value was shrunk down to, weeks instead of year and a half.
years. Exactly. Else the customers keep asking, right? What's the value that we are getting from purchasing this service? We've never even seen the CSMs. I mean, we definitely saw those kind of feedback, and it led to some amount of churn as well. And that's where we pivoted to having like the good, better, best model of services as well, rather than just having a single enterprise level CS offering, so that we can do that right market fit and assign appropriate resources to take them through their journey and use case.
I love that. I wanted to follow up on something too. I was thinking, and there were shades of this in both what Melanie and Chetna said, is that sales hires your customers, right? And CS is responsible for writing the job description and then calling out what are the expectations of that customer. And we call those outcomes and KPIs. But every job I've ever had has changed in the time that I've held that job, right? And so we need to remember that with our customers, it's the same. So there's honing in on those metrics and having that good, better, best model allow you to segment, right? And then by having different product lines and different time to value criteria, it just showcases the value of meeting the customer where they're at and what does success really look like. And I know that's hard, but start with your most successful customers and highlight where, like, how are they winning? When did they win? And then you can work your way back to building those success criteria for people that are similar to that customer segment.
I love that.
Totally.
I love that.
Yeah, I like what you said, Chetna. It makes me something I really want to call out, which, by the way, I like the fact people are start using good, better, best, because I've been using that for a while, and so that might be catching on. And I will take the W for that if anyone ever tells you, you know. No, but I like what Chetna said because, you know, even at a big company, I mean, a massive company like where you work, Chetna, the I think the thing that isn't lost on me from your comment is the fact that time to value or first time to value, as you said, was different for different customers, right? And right now, the space, and this will probably come up in December when we talk about 2024 in review on that call. But the space right now, when you go to different companies, you'll see there's a lot of copy and paste. So not to throw Amy under the bus, but the only like VP on this call, one of the things you got to worry about with VPs is like what worked at last company may not be exactly what works at this company. So they'll just try to copy and paste. And then we're like, it's not working. And hence there's a lot of turnover, especially in CS leadership right now.
No hard feelings. I don't believe in copy and paste. You have to customize it because every team, every company, every product, every customer is going to be different. And so the magic happens when you can like bucket those and you can use the framework, but you can customize it to the situation.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't done backing over the bus onto you and then going for, you know. So no, I'm giving you a hard time because I like you.
I love it.
But yeah, no, it was just that's all I was gonna say is just the fact that what the initial job to be done or what success looks like for a lot of people is, hey, I just want to have my account set up, or I just want to import my first 1,000 records, or whatever it is that your unit of value is, which by the way, make sure you understand for your company what the unit of value is, because that's what you're selling, right? And typically that's what's tied back to time to value. But I just think that was an important call out because you can work at the same company, but then just understand that every customer has different expectations. You know, like being my wife, like she thought I was attractive when we first got married, and now she just, you know, lets me stay here. So, no, I'm joking.
I think it's really important to call out too, or keep a mind on the CSM targets that I give my team are not necessarily what the customer considers success. So you have to know what the customer considers success as part of your outcomes too. That is the definition of outcomes. So like internal KPIs or getting a customer to a certain point may not be the same as what the customer considers getting value out of the product. And so there's a lot of work to be done. And how do you bring those together? That's where I spend most of my time. What does the customer value? What do we value? How do I find the common ground to make sure that our strategy for that customer aligns?
Yeah,
you're so right, Amy.
I
agree.
I'll just chime in real quick, Mel. I would just say the key thing that Amy said is don't, as a CSM, if you're a frontline CSM, don't mistake activity for results, right?
Hmm.
And that's how people find themselves on the way out. It's like if you're ever managing people, say Amy's my boss and she says, "Hey Brad, are you doing X and Y KPI?" No, I've been updating health scores and reformatting my email address and you know, sleeping while you're not looking, you know, or whatever. So just make sure that you're working on results, like things that are going to lead to the results, not just activities. Because so many times, if you do have a day that's not completely filled with client calls, people will just be like, "Oh, this needs to be done," and you know, someone's got to do it. Might as well be me. It's like just understand that at the end of the year, the only thing that's going to be measured is not did you make the font blue, you know, on whatever, but your actual KPIs are getting measured by. Go ahead, Mel.
I think that what Amy really just hit the nail on the head with is the customer outcomes. I think that that's something that should be talked about on an ongoing basis. It starts with onboarding that customer and understanding why they chose that product and how they view success. It's also a great time to readjust expectations. If they picked a blue pen to make red ink, they're never going to be successful. And so you have to reset those expectations, and you have to do it continuously. Anytime that you have engagement with the customer is asking, are we headed to success? What do you feel is the problem that you're trying to solve, et cetera, so that you have the ability to understand why your customer is there and what will keep them there. And I think that Amy said that correctly. It's never going to be, they don't care if the customer never cares about how many times that you talk to them, especially if it's giving them something like historical news. They want to know how you're going to make them successful.
Totally. And just adding on to that point, that's where that sales to CS handoff becomes a really critical point of moment of truth, and that's where we struggled a lot, because there was this whole mindset of sales that, okay, our work closes as soon as the deal is booked, that's about it. And when you're launching something that's going to be delivering value on the basis of the consumption and the usage, as CS, we were being measured on time to first value and how soon the customer can actually start using, right? How soon we can deliver value. Now, when we meet the customer, if we don't have the information from our sales team about what the customer's consumption plan looks like, what are the use cases, why they purchased the product at the first place, when that huge $1 million deal was struck after 6 months of negotiation, and when we start at the clean slate, like, hey, Mr. Customer, this is how the journey looks like, and this is how we'll take you, let's start. And then it's like, okay, so what do you want me to do? That's the kind of experience we had, and that's where we really made a lot of effort to make sure that the sales to CS handoff is kind of automated, and work with leadership to include some of the artifacts that are needed post sales for the success as a part of the deal cycle within Salesforce. There was a huge resistance, but then that was kind of what was needed, just to make sure that the CS started on right front with the customer.
Yeah. So that's a good point. So let's jump into one last question, and like a very bad host, I want to ask this question that's not actually one of the prepared questions, because you're all top people and I know you can take this question. But so here's a question, and this is what I want to finish on, which has to do with the topic. It's not totally unrelated. So I have a YouTube channel that this gets posted to later, and I've done 2 reaction videos, both to, we'll just say, new customer success in the news, people who are talking about customer success. So I did one with this Bain article that came out that talked about how customer success had increased investment, and then we weren't seeing increased NRR and all this stuff. And then there was Jason Limkins and Dave Kellogg talking about customer success and how they say that it's failing. So the question is, why is it such a struggle right now to get a clear definition for what success looks like for customer success? And why is there so much variability? And why is it that customer success is not, we'll say, universally valued around different go-to-market teams? Because if you're getting bad press saying that, oh, customer success, it's not working or it's failing, then why do you think that is? So, that's kind of a long question with multiple minor questions in there, but whatever struck you and something you want to respond to, then go with that.
Yeah, I can go first. I think not having, 15 years ago, customer success did not exist. I sound like I have a stutter with this repeat. I'm so sorry about the technical issues. So in 10 years, we've come from not existing to now being introduced into industries that aren't even SaaS based in places where customer success doesn't even make sense. It's really just like a glorified support role. So I think for everyone in customer success, it's really important to become clear on what is it that you do, how you do it, and how does this change things in an organization. Now, not everyone has that skill set, but we all are capable of writing down our wins. Like that's something I do every Friday. I write down my weekly wins. What are the things that I achieved? And then on Monday mornings, what are the goals that I'm going to achieve this week? And then at the end of the week, I evaluate to it. I think that the same is true for customer success teams. You have to document what is it that you want to achieve, maybe how you achieved it, but definitely you want the end result, like, the car story, right? Like the challenge, the action, result. And over time, we'll, of course, continue to evolve. And I think we'll drop out of being glorified support and drop out of being kind of the catch-all, everything post-sales. But really, this comes down to customer success, not saying no. We have to set boundaries and say, this is what success is. That is not customer success. And the more that we can do that, the more we will gain value because we have boundaries and clearly communicate what we're going to do for the customer and how we drive value. But if we continue to accept everything that's post sales and do manual data entry and fixing of the product and kind of all the things that can come up for a customer, we're never going to get out of reactive into proactive.
Someone's got to make that font blue, Amy.
Exactly.
Might as well be CS.
Agree.
Yeah.
Guardrails, boundaries, lay it out. And there's a lot of people, you included, Brad, that are out here doing the good work that are saying this is what success is. And we all need to kind of pick up that mantle and repeat it in our organizations. And eventually it'll change, hopefully.
So minor quote from me, and then Chetna, and then Mel. I definitely want you to chime in. But there's this quote. It's by Goethe, who is, the German poet. And it's a quote I think about all the time because sometimes we get kind of message fatigue. Like people that have been in the space, you hear like success is not support. There's just these trite, overused things that happen. But, the quote from Goethe is that truth must be repeated again and again because error is all around, right? So there's a constant degradation. There's constant error that's always trying to seep in. Or there's these outside influences who want to say, hey, I'm more senior than CS. I will shape it in the way that I want to see it. And you kind of have to have like, the people that are purists like me, where it's just like you're on the outside and you're just trying to push back against some of that narrative, right? And you're trying to, like Amy, you got to learn to say no, right, to certain things and just say this is what success is and what it isn't, because and then there's always constantly new people coming in. Like there's new people coming into the field, there's people leaving the field. So I think that if you get tired of hearing certain things, just know to some people, it might be the first time they're hearing it. So Chetna, then Mel.
Sure. Thank you. Really a profound question and amazing thoughts. I mean, with respect to impact of CS, right? As Amy mentioned it, and as we know, it's pretty recent that this organization has really rose up to the challenge, and we are so famous because we are able to help the customers to achieve the outcomes as the products are becoming more and more complex, right? And basically the competition is kind of increasing. Like the SaaS products, we have so many options for the SaaS subscription products, right? Unless you make the product stick and have the product ingrained into the ecosystem of these complex organizations, just making one or two deals is not going to, kind of cut the ROI, because all you're doing is increasing the CAC, which is customer acquisition cost, and never being able to recover that value. So if the and because of the competition, that CAC value has increased more than ever. Before it was just a function of marketing and sales. Now it is like omni-channel marketing, and that value has really increased. So once we understand like how much is that component in the overall customer lifecycle value, And then how can customer success, help with the product stickiness and adoption, and we go gaga about it inside the organization, outside the organization, by repeating those metrics to the leadership team, to the board even. I think that's the way to make sure that people understand the impact. And when we launched CS in VMware in 2019, it was a new function, and that this is a constant question that I always got, being the process architect from CS, like, hey, what do you do? We have support teams. What do you bring to the table? We have sales teams. And being that evangelist kind of really, that actually should be one of the roles as a CS evangelist within the organization. So everybody understands, like, where do we fit in. And then from the leadership perspective of CS, definitely to repeat our wins and be very clear about what are we here for, and actually to repeat and amplify that at the leadership level. So those are the two things I think that will help.
This is why I can't go back to work at a company, guys, because it's just like when people ask me, "Hey, what do you do?" I'd be like, "Oh, I check and redo all your work. What do you do?" I mean, it's just gets spicy. It's just. But yeah, that happens a lot. So go ahead, Mel.
Well, for 20 years, I've always said, my friends ask me, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm in tech. It was just too much to say, hey, I'm a post-sales relational, blah, blah. But I think that we kind of hit the nail on the head again about the definition of what customer success is. You're right that customer success hasn't been around, but post-sales relationship management has. And I call it the title du jour. So in 15 years, is it going to be customer success, or is it going to be post-sales account management? It's always going to be someone that's going to have that guide of taking the customer on their customer journey throughout the organization and being that Sherpa, for lack of a better word. Those items that a CS person does today may change, probably will. It kind of depends on what the organization thinks. And so I think from an evangelist standpoint of customer success, you have to go as a leader, start from the top and make sure that you're showing the value of the team and what the team can do and cannot do. I love that Amy can says no. Like, I think that's part of our job, is because customer success always feels like that, a task is thrown over the shoulder and, oh, they can do it. It touches the customer. So customer success has to do it. They own the customer. So not, you have to just really kind of define, kind of evangelize and look at your team. What are they specialists of? Like, should they be supporting the product? Should they be doing upsells and renewals? And then whatever you decide, make sure the team understands how to do those tasks and make sure that they're able to do those tasks. I had a team that came from technical support that were now customer success managers who had no clue what the product did. And so you make sure, or how to sell, or how to make sure that they are getting a good deal from the procurement manager. So enable the team to make sure that whatever tasks they have assigned to them, they can do well and they can feel confident in doing those. So I think it's still going to ever evolve. I don't know what customer success will look like in 15 years, but we're always going to have customers, and we're going to always have to have someone that will be able to have that relationship with them.
Nice. Well, there's so many more topics that I think we could have easily parlayed that into. But alas, ladies, our time has drawn near, and it has been a good call, and I'm glad we've had this conversation. Where can people go to connect with you and find out more about you?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
There you go. And then one day, maybe 5-10 years from now, people will say Success Panda. But until then, we fight on. No, but thanks, ladies, for coming on, and it was great. Thanks for all your feedback, and we will see you guys next week, same time, same place. And everyone have a great weekend. Do something fun, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thanks for
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, all.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Chetna.
Thank you. Bye.